Welcome back, friends and family that are friends, and friends that are family. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a box, but in this box is a piece of video game history. I'm very excited to get it open like I usually am when it comes to retro games. So let's get it open and we'll talk in a little bit. Alright, so here, as you can tell by the joysticks, the mini joysticks, and the fancy joysticks, we have in here an Atari 2600. Let's get her open. Alright, as you can see, it is in a case, and the case isn't great. It has some hot glue on some of these cracks, but overall it could be a lot worse. So try to get it cleaned up. Still a pretty cool case. A lot of times I've seen these and they don't even have this, so a cracked one is better than no one. Before I go any further, I want to just reiterate, I spent $103 on all of this stuff shipped to me. Included this storage box, as well as the Atari, these controllers, and the real reason I wanted this was these. These are paddles, and a lot of the games that the Atari has, you need the paddle to be able to play. When my friend Steve bought the Atari for me, the shop didn't have paddles in. When everybody was over playing, there's a few games we couldn't play. So I was looking at these, and sometimes they're $10 or $20 each, but I figured I could buy this, keep a few of the games, and end up selling everything else off to make maybe a little money, or at least all my money back. But let's first talk a little bit about Atari history. Now, these were released in 1977 and were originally called the Atari Video Computer System. In 1982, when the Atari 5200 was released, it got renamed to the Atari 2600. These were made until about 1992, so it had a 15-year lifespan, which is pretty amazing for something that has only 120 bytes for the processor. Now that's not 120 gigabytes, not 120 megabytes, or even kilobytes. 128 bytes that ran this processor. So it's pretty insane, especially when there was a library of around 500 games made for this, which is another cool piece of history. Which brings us to the next point, and one of the games I'm going to keep. First, I have to find it. And that game is... I didn't know there were so many hiding spots in this little area. Finally found it. So you can see there's a lot of games in here. I've already pulled a lot out. Here is the game that is blamed for something that isn't necessarily even its fault. E.T. was one of the best, this might get some hate, one of the best movies of the 80s. So of course Atari wanted to capitalize on that. So they spent 20 to 25 million on the copyright to make this game. And that's where things get a little interesting. With the copyright they spent millions on in hand, Atari really wanted to turn this game around the same year in 1982. The programmer Howard Warsaw had 6 weeks to build the game from scratch. There was no playtesting or feedback loops, or Spielberg design suggestions were ignored. And all of this was able to push the game out as fast as they could. Pretty sure the issue was wanting to push it out before the holidays. The problem was it was a massive failure. E.T. was returned after people bought it. Reportedly, there is $536 million lost in 1983 alone. It was even said that there were thousands of these cartridges just buried in a landfill in New Mexico. Another thing that made Atari popular and set it apart were the cartridge-based games. There was other options at the time. Some of the consoles actually had built-in games like the Magnavox Odyssey. Some had cassettes that went in, some had floppy disk, and there was even some VHS style games. But as we all know history, cartridges became kind of the winner, at least with games from the generations early 90s and late 90s and early 2000s that most of us are used to. So for $103, I was able to get this Atari, the storage unit, and 26 games along with all these controllers with the paddles. Along with the games like the notorious E.T., also comes with some of the most popular ones in the franchise like Miss Pac-Man and Space Invaders. There's also some really neat other games included, like this game, Journey Escape. I don't know anything about it, but a friend told me that played this, that it's a game based on the band Journey, and as you go through the levels, the music plays. So interesting to put this in. I just feel like the Ataris, and I've seen other deals like this, are such a great value. Even if it's just for the historical part, that it's part of retro game history or video game history. Also, these games are really fun to play when other people come over. So it's fun to collect for the library. I already have the one started if you've watched one of my shorts from a long time ago. And I just have kind of enjoyed collecting the cartridges and adding to the collection. This I will clean up and sell at a future vending event that I'll be going to, and be able to sell it at a good deal because I got it at a good deal. So if you have any questions about Atari, I probably can't answer them, but it is really fun to do the research on it and throw those in the comments. I appreciate all your support. Hopefully you played some of these games. If you have, or they remind you of your childhood, throw it in the comments. What was your favorite game for the Atari and why did you like it? So as always, I really appreciate the support and see you all next video.